Coronation Street fans, brace yourselves, because this is one of the most heartbreaking scenes the show has aired in months, and it's Carla Connor who's right at the center of it. Picture this: a young woman left completely alone, unable to even call for help, and by the time anyone realizes what's happened, it's already too late to stop the damage. When Carla walks through that door and finds Betsy Swain sitting there in tears, having wet herself because nobody was around to help her, the devastation on Carla's face says it all. This is the scene Coronation Street has just given fans a first look at, and it is going to leave you absolutely gutted. So stick around, because we're breaking down everything you need to know about this gut-wrenching storyline, why Betsy is in this position in the first place, who's really to blame, and what it could mean for the Swain-Connor family going forward. If you haven't been keeping up with the Cobbles lately, let's get you up to speed, because this story didn't come out of nowhere. It's the devastating conclusion of a storyline that has been building for weeks and involves Betsy Swain, played by Sydney Martin, and her on-off boyfriend Dylan Wilson, played by Liam McShane. Betsy suffered a stroke after Dylan choked her during a consensual moment of intimacy between the two of them. He never intended to hurt her, and Betsy herself has been adamant that she doesn't blame him, but the physical toll on her body has been immense. She's had to relearn how to speak. She struggles to find her words during therapy sessions, and she's dealing with the kind of vulnerability that a headstrong, once fiery teenager like Betsy never imagined she'd have to face. For longtime viewers, Betsy has always been a character defined by resilience. She survived losing her mother Becky, who was believed dead for years before a shocking return from the grave turned her world upside down. She survived the trauma of watching her friend Mason Ratcliffe get killed. And now, just as she seemed to be finding some stability in her home life with mum Lisa Swain and stepmother figure Carla Connor, her body has betrayed her in the cruelest way possible. Carla, of course, is no stranger to Coronation Street viewers. Played by the brilliant Allison King, Carla Connor has been one of the show's most iconic characters for years. Known for her sharp tongue, her complicated history running Underworld Factory, and her roller coaster love life. Her relationship with DS Lisa Swain, played by Vicky Myers, has become one of the most talked about romances on the Cobbles, giving fans the Swarla pairing that's earned a passionate fanbase. Along the way, Carla has become something like a stepmother to Betsy, weathering plenty of storms with her, from blackmail schemes in Betsy's early, troublemaking days at the factory, to Carla standing by Lisa through Becky's shocking resurrection, to nearly walking down the aisle together. Through it all, Carla has grown fiercely protective of Betsy, treating her as her own, which is exactly why this new twist is going to hit so hard for viewers who've watched that relationship deepen episode by episode. Now let's get into what's actually happening this week, because it's a genuinely difficult watch. Betsy has been trying to process her recovery in her own way, and one of the things she's wanted most is to see Dylan and reassure him that she doesn't hold him responsible for what happened to her. The trouble is, that decision puts her at odds with practically everyone around her. Both Lisa and her close friend Lauren, played by Kate Fitton, have been pushing Betsy hard to press charges against Dylan, convinced that he needs to face consequences no matter his intentions. Betsy, however, feels differently, and knowing that her mum won't approve, she confides in her cousin Ryan Connor, who quietly arranges for Dylan to visit her at home. That secret meeting gets interrupted when Lisa arrives unexpectedly, and from there, tensions only escalate. When Lauren finds out that Dylan has been to see Betsy, she's horrified, and her anger toward him starts to spiral out of control. She pushes on-off boyfriend Brody, played by Ryan Mulvey, to confront Dylan directly, which he does in the cafe, warning him to stay away from Betsy. That exchange nearly turns physical before Nina, played by Molly Gallagher, steps in to break it up. But it's Lauren herself who ends up going too far. She corners Dylan in the precinct, determined to make him understand the damage he's caused. Dylan, exhausted from being judged by everyone around him, lashes out and calls her a pathetic little girl. Lauren responds by slapping him hard enough to cut his cheek, and when she keeps pushing him, Refusing to accept that he never meant to hurt Betsy, Dylan trips backward, hits his head on the pavement, and is knocked unconscious. A panicked Lauren flees the scene, leaving Nina to find him and call for help. Dylan ends up being rushed to hospital, and in the aftermath, suspicion falls squarely on Brody, with nobody yet realizing that it was actually Lauren who was responsible. That drama alone would be enough to fuel a full week of storylines on its own, but it's what happens next between Lauren and Betsy that leads directly into this devastating new first look scene. With guilt and tension simmering beneath the surface, another argument erupts between the two friends over Dylan. Fed up and overwhelmed, Lauren storms out of the Swain Connor household at number 6, leaving Betsy completely alone, despite the fact that she's still struggling significantly with the physical aftermath of her stroke. This is where things take a truly heartbreaking turn. While Lauren is gone, something goes wrong. Betsy, unable to get help in time, wets herself, left sitting there in distress with absolutely nobody to turn to. When Lauren eventually returns to the house, it's not Betsy alone she finds. It's Carla, who has arrived to discover a tearful, humiliated Betsy in this vulnerable state, and the sight of it stops her in her tracks. This is the moment Coronation Street has now released as its first look preview, and it's exactly as gut-wrenching as it sounds. Carla's fury toward Lauren is immediate and unrestrained. She cannot comprehend how anyone could walk away from someone as fragile as Betsy currently is, especially somebody who's supposed to be a close friend. For Carla, this isn't just about one bad decision in the heat of an argument. It's about Betsy's dignity, her safety, and the fact that she was left in a position where the simplest of needs became something she couldn't manage on her own. Fans who have followed Carla's journey with Betsy over the years will know this is a woman who does not hold back when someone she loves has been hurt, and this scene promises to be one of Allison King's most powerful moments in recent memory, as Carla's protective instincts collide head-on with her heartbreak over watching Betsy suffer. What makes this storyline land so hard for viewers is what comes next. In the days following the incident, Lisa tries to encourage Betsy to get out of the house and get some fresh air, hoping a change of scenery might do her some good. But Betsy refuses, and it becomes increasingly clear that she's growing more and more reluctant to let anyone see just how much she's struggling. That's a significant shift for a character who has always worn her emotions loudly and openly. The Betsy audiences have known for years wouldn't have hesitated to speak her mind or push back against anyone trying to help her. Now, though, she's retreating inward, ashamed and afraid of being seen as weak or dependent, which paints a painful picture of just how deeply this ordeal has affected her sense of self. As for Lauren, she does eventually return to apologize to Betsy for walking out when she needed her the most, but the question fans are now asking is whether Betsy will actually be ready to forgive her. Given everything Betsy has already been through, from losing her mother, to grieving Mason, to now facing a life-altering health crisis at such a young age, this latest betrayal from someone she trusted could be the moment that pushes their friendship past the point of repair, at least for now. Unsurprisingly, this storyline has already sparked plenty of discussion among Coronation Street's dedicated fanbase. Viewers have been vocal on social media about how unflinching the show has been in depicting Betsy's recovery, praising the writers and Sydney Martin's performance for handling such a sensitive subject with real weight rather than glossing over the difficulty of stroke recovery, particularly for someone so young. There's also been a lot of chatter around Lauren's arc, with some fans sympathetic to the pressure she's been under watching her friend suffer, while others feel her behavior, both toward Dylan and in abandoning Betsy, has crossed a serious line that shouldn't be brushed aside too quickly. And then there's Carla, whose reaction in this first look clip is already being talked about as one of the standout moments of the week, with many longtime fans of the Swirla pairing pointing out just how far Carla's bond with Betsy has come, and how natural it now feels for her to step into that fiercely protective, almost maternal role. So, what does all of this mean going forward? For Betsy, the road ahead looks like it's going to be about more than just physical recovery. This incident could mark a turning point in how she copes emotionally and whether she continues isolating herself from the people who care about her, or eventually opens up about how frightened and humiliated she truly feels. There's also the unresolved question of Dylan's hospitalization hanging over everything, since Lauren's role in his injury hasn't come to light yet, and with suspicion currently pointed at Brody, it seems inevitable that the truth will eventually surface and cause even more fallout between the group of friends. Fans are already speculating about how that reveal might play out, whether Lauren will confess out of guilt, whether Dylan will choose to protect her despite everything, or whether someone else will uncover what really happened in the precinct that day. For Carla and Lisa, this moment could also deepen their resolve to protect Betsy more closely, potentially creating friction with Lauren and Brody if the family feels they can no longer be trusted around her during such a vulnerable time. It wouldn't be surprising to see Carla take an even more hands-on role in Betsy's care moving forward, especially given how personally invested she's shown herself to be in this scene. There's also the broader question of whether this experience will change Betsy long-term, whether she'll eventually find her fight and resilience again, or whether the show is setting up a longer, more introspective journey for a character who has always been defined by her toughness. To sum it all up, Coronation Street is diving into some genuinely heavy territory with this storyline, handling Betsy's stroke recovery with a level of honesty that's clearly resonating with viewers, even as it breaks their hearts along the way. The first-look image of Carla comforting a devastated, humiliated Betsy after Lauren's abandonment is set to be one of the most emotional scenes of the week, built on weeks of tension surrounding Dylan, the fallout from that shocking precinct altercation, and the fractures forming within Betsy's circle of friends and family. With Lauren's guilt still simmering, Dylan's hospitalization still unresolved, and Betsy retreating further into herself, there's clearly a lot more drama still to come on the cobbles. That's everything we know so far about this devastating new Coronation Street storyline, but as always, there's likely to be even more twists before the full episodes air. What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think Betsy will ever forgive Lauren? And how do you think Carla is going to handle her role in all of this moving forward? Let us know your thoughts and predictions down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss another Coronation Street update. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.